All right, what is going on, folks? Wrestling Otaku back here on the one and only Wrestling Otaku channel. Of course, your personification of excellence on YouTube and YWC. We're the best reviews wrestling and your three-time YWC channel of the year. Not back here. It is officially Thursday, April the 23rd of 2026. Hope you all have had a good week thus far as we head into the weekend here, into the back end of April, the final week of April. And so I wanted to go ahead and do this video because today it is later tonight, it is going to be the start of the 2026 NFL Draft, the next big event, which a lot of people pay attention to every year. There's a big buzz around the NFL Draft. This is probably one of the biggest events, if not the biggest event, of the NFL offseason. And then, of course, afterwards, you have training camp and all that kind of stuff. Free agency is already, free agency is already underway, all that kind of stuff. And so the NFL Draft is usually a big event every year that they hold every year for 3 days. Tonight is, of course, going to be the first night, first day one of the NFL Draft later tonight. So looking forward to that. And so here with this video, I figured I'd go ahead and give you guys a little preview of the Ravens 2026 Draft. Just kind of go over their draft picks and who I believe they should select. Now, ordinarily, this is an event I pay attention to every year, like in past years, and you guys should know this for those of you who are longtime viewers of this channel. What I used to do is I used to basically do videos talking about who I think the Ravens should pick, like based on team needs. I'll do a little bit of scouting in my own ways where I'll look, up some of the draft prospects and stuff like that, and basically give you my thoughts on who I think the Ravens should take just based on what I see, like in terms of their college stats and their highlights and all that kind of stuff. And I basically compile a list of who I think they should take and whatever round they should take them in and all that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, I just didn't have the time to do it this year. I've just been engrossed in so much other stuff throughout the year, throughout the last few months, so I never got around to it. And then, of course, we come around to today, and it's like, oh, it's draft day. Well, I've known for the last few days, but I just now getting around to doing this video. So I want to go ahead and just basically preview the Ravens draft because, of course, tonight they do have a first-round selection because the whole Max Crosby thing fell apart. So they do still have their first-round pick for this year for 2026. They will pick at 14, I believe. They're number 14th, so they draft fairly early. They're like in the top half of the draft. So they'll be selecting 14th overall. And so going forward with this draft, the Ravens actually have 11 draft picks this year, which is a pretty decent number. They got a number of compensatory picks later in the draft. They have, of course, a first round, second round, third round, fourth round. They have four fifth-round picks. They have a sixth-round pick, and they have two seventh-round picks. So 11 picks in total. So of course today is day one, night one of the NFL draft, so it's the first round. It's only going to be round one, so the Ravens will have one pick today. Tomorrow, Friday, it will be the second day, rounds 2 and 3, and then of course on Saturday it will be rounds 4 through 7. So that's pretty much how the NFL draft is structured. They do this every year. It's the same thing every year. So looking forward to the Ravens draft tonight. I personally believe, just based on how the offseason has shaped up, looking at that first-round draft pick, now, there's always the possibility that they could, trade back. Some people seem to think that they'll trade up. I don't think that the Ravens hardly ever trade up unless they really, really want to. The last time they traded up, I think, was when they got Lamar Jackson, but that was, back end of the first round. They traded back into the first round. But I see a lot of these draft analysts, these NFL analysts and stuff like that, predicting the Ravens to have. I saw one site where they said they had 2 first-round picks. I don't know where they got that from. Maybe, they think the Ravens are going to trade with another team or something. Trade one of their other round picks, to get another first-round pick. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to stick at 14. Although they could trade back, the Ravens have been known for trading back and collecting more picks. They have done that several times over the years, so I could see them doing that. They haven't done it as much in the Eric DeCosta era. That was more so the Ozzie Newsome thing, but in the Eric DeCosta era, they have traded back in the past. They could do that, but I do think they're going to stick at 14. I think they're going to stay at 14, and they're going to have 1 first-round pick. So who should the Ravens pick at 14? Personally, for me anyway, just based on how the offseason has gone, I would go either offensive line, because that is a huge need. That is a big, big fucking need for this team. Absolute big need, especially after the guy that they just let go, which I'll get into in a second. They need either offensive line or somebody on the defense, specifically a pass rusher, specifically somebody good, somebody who's not injured, somebody who doesn't fall back or fall down or has their draft stock fall because of personal reasons or because they get injured. Somebody who is actually legitimately somebody they can draft on day one, plug them right into the system, and they'd be an immediate impact player. That's who they need to go with. Either a pass rusher, somebody on defense to help the defense, or offensive line. Personally, I would go offensive line, and here's why. The Ravens' offensive line has been in shambles, okay? And they just, unfortunately, they parted ways with longtime center, or, the last couple of years anyway, center Tyler Linderbaum, and I have no fucking, and I've been meaning to talk about this for a while, I have no fucking idea what this team was thinking, letting Tyler Linderbaum walk. What the fuck were you thinking? This dude is a fucking former first-round draft pick for them. I remember the year they drafted, the same draft they got Kyle Hamilton in. In fact, both Kyle Hamilton and Tyler Linderbaum were first-round draft picks. That was 2022, I think. 2022, 2020, it was one of those years. But both those guys, Hamilton and Linderbaum, they got in the first round that year. Both Pro Bowlers, went to the Pro Bowl multiple times. Kyle Hamilton signed a big contract last year, the year before, and what I heard was, again, this is, things I saw, online, reports, whatever. They offered Tyler Linderbaum a big contract, which would have made him like the highest paid center in the history of the league or something like that. Again, that's what I heard. I can't confirm it, but that's apparently what was on the table. And for whatever reason, Tyler Linderbaum decided to pass. And then all of a sudden, I hear Tyler Linderbaum is now signing with the Raiders. The fucking Las Vegas Raiders. The same team who attempted to trade to us Max Crosby, and we gave them fucking 2 first-round picks. And it turns out, Max Crosby, he failed his physical, so then that trade fell apart. So then the Raiders, I guess, decided, we're going to go ahead and take your center then. It's like, what the fuck? Like, how do you flop that up? How do you let Tyler Linderbaum walk? I don't understand that. This dude is easily the best guy, the best player you had on the offensive line. To me, the center is the most important position on the offensive line. That is the anchor of the offense. That is the man who snaps the ball to the quarterback. He's always going to have possession of the ball at some point on every snap. That is the most pivotal, most important piece on the offensive line, and you let him walk. Multiple-time Pro Bowler, first-round draft pick, and you just let him go. You let the Raiders fucking get him. How? How does that happen? How does that happen? Same thing with the fucking Orioles letting Corbin Burns walk. Although, people are saying, Corbin Burns wanted to leave. He wanted to go to Arizona because, that was his home or whatever. Or what the fuck ever. Whatever stupid-ass excuse they use. How do you let Tyler Linderbaum walk like that? I don't understand it. It's baffling to me. Baffling to me. That's a huge loss. Huge loss to the offensive line. Huge fucking gap. And how are you going to fill that? How are you going to fill that gap? Okay, I know they signed somebody recently. I forget the name. I'll have to go look it up. I should have done it before this video. It's whatever. I'll check later. But I know they did sign somebody in free agency at center or whatever. I forget who he was. But I just don't think there's a viable replacement right now in free agency, even the guy they signed, for Tyler Linderbaum. Those are going to be big shoes to fill, man. And the center, to me, again, that's the anchor. That's the biggest piece on the offensive line. The rest of the offensive line isn't much better. You got guys there who are getting hurt, getting injured. You got fucking Ronnie Stanley, fucking injured every goddamn year. When is his contract? I don't even know if he's still with the team. I mean, I would imagine. I haven't heard anything about him being released. But I mean, it's like every other player they've had, every other piece they've had thus far has been, has not lived up to expectations. And so this year, you got a whole new culture, you got new coaching staff, new head coach, new offensive defensive coordinator. All down the line, you've had changes in the coaching staff, and the front office is still pretty much the same. You still have Eric DeCosta as the GM, Steve Bisciotti is the owner, all that kind of stuff. But in terms of the coaching, it's a entirely different coaching staff, and so there needs to be attention to the pieces, the parts of the team, that the holes on the team that need to be filled. There needs to be attention to this sort of stuff. You made the changes in coaching. You need to make the changes in terms of the players and the personnel in the team itself. And the offensive line was one of the biggest glaring weaknesses of this team. It was one of the downsides of this team. Outside of Tyler Linderbaum, like everybody else was like, they didn't do their job effectively. I'm not saying they're horrible, but it's just like they're not as good as they should be. And the offensive line needs to be fucking addressed. Me personally, I would take center in the first round. Okay, you took center in the first round before, got Tyler Linderbaum, which that was a godsend. So I don't know if they're going to be able to do that and replicate that this year, but I do think they need to go offensive line, either a center or a tackle, one of the two. And then the rest of the picks, you need to get, at some point, you need to get at least one tackle, at least one center, and at least one guard. Somehow they got to work that out. They got to make fixes they got to address this offensive line. And I would do it in the draft rather than the free agency. That's just me. If you could get somebody quality in free agency, by all means, but me personally, I would go draft. I would go in the draft. Outside of that, I would address, again, defense, need a pass rusher. I would take somebody if somebody is good. I've been hearing a lot of people mock draft certain pass rushers. I hear this guy from Miami. I forget his name offhand. Ruben Bain, I think that's his name. They got the Ravens taking him at 14. There's some other names I heard. It's like, I do think they need to go offensive line and defense, specifically in terms of the front seven, specifically like the outside edge. They definitely need players on that outside. Now, they did get Trey Hendrickson. The only thing with him is, he's been injury prone, so that's, again, this is one of the most snake-bitten franchises in fucking NFL. It's one of the most snake-bitten franchises in the last decade. So, yeah, Trey Hendrickson, I do think, is going to be an asset, but it's just, can he stay healthy? That's the question. But I do believe they need to address that defense, especially the pass rush. I'd say get somebody good in the first couple rounds. Same thing with offensive line. And then after that, aside from that, I don't know, maybe go, in terms of later in the draft, maybe a wide receiver. I think they're good at wide receivers right now. Maybe a running back, it's just like, it's one of those things. But to me, the two main spots, the two main parts of this team, the two absolute needs on this team that they have to address in this draft are offensive line and defense in terms of pass rushers, in terms of, on the edge of the defense. Those are the two major needs they need to address. Will they? That remains to be seen. I will be paying close attention, and so we'll see what they do. Only time will tell. We'll see what happens tonight and what direction they decide to go. So, as always, I got the day off today, so thank God I can just relax, chill out. Got some Papa John's pizza. I'll play some Apex Legends, watch some anime, and chill out until later tonight when the draft takes place. And then when it does, I will give you a full-on reaction to whomever the Ravens take at 14, if they decide to take it at 14. If they trade back, then, I'll, make a video accordingly. I hope to God they don't decide to trade out of the fucking first round, because if they do, I'll be pissed. But yeah, we'll see what happens tonight. We'll see what they do tonight. But regardless of what the Ravens do, I will give you a full-on reaction in a video form later tonight, which I've done. Again, I've done this in previous years. You guys have seen it on here. So you'll be seeing that video later tonight. And, of course, I'll give you follow-ups via either videos or shorts or posts, whatever, and my thoughts on the Ravens and all that kind of stuff. And I'll be following the draft very closely the next few days. So you'll be seeing a lot of content on here in regards to that as this NFL draft takes place starting tonight. But anyway, that's pretty much going to be it for that. So those are my thoughts. That's, kind of where I stand in regards to the Ravens 2026 draft. I just hope to get some, I hope to get some good people, man. I really do. I hope to God they address the needs that need to be addressed. I hope to God they go in that direction, because those are just glaring needs on this team right now. And then everything else, we'll see what happens. But yeah, so those are my thoughts on that. So that's pretty much all I got to say for this video. So thank you for watching. Be sure to, like this video. Appreciate it if you do. Helps out the video, helps out the channel, all that kind of stuff. Be sure to leave a comment. Give me your thoughts on the draft. If any of you fellow Ravens fans out there see this, who do you think the Ravens should take at 14? What do you think the Ravens should do in regards to their draft class? Go ahead and let me know. Give me your opinions in the comments. Subscribe, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Appreciate all the support I can get. With that being said, it's pretty much going to do it. So I'll see you guys later tonight. I'm going to chill out for now. I might do an Apex stream at some point, later on. So you'll be seeing that on my Twitch. But anyway, that's going to be it for me. Thank you for watching. Till next time, Wrestling Otaku. I'm out. See you guys later. Peace.